This is going to be a really interesting conversation with how do you provide sports dentistry support to almost 1.5 billion people.
Sounds pretty easy to me.
we have our challenges with is it 70 million or whatever in the UK and stuff, but 1.5 billion people, that's a different gravy altogether. Welcome back to the Sports Dentistry Podcast. You must have took the sun home with you from Tenerife, Reena.
Yeah, the weather's been absolutely outstanding here. Blue skies, good 22, 23 degrees. I actually had Friday off there, so I hadn't been out on my road bike for a long time. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go out. Wife was at work, daughter was at school. So I went out, cycled across the Forth bridges, stopped off for a coffee, did a bit more cycling. And then the cramp started to kick in, the lactic acid started to kick into my thighs. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to make it? I was planning on going to a restaurant for lunch that had just opened, a new restaurant that had opened not far from where we stay. So I'm like 45 kilometers in. And I'm like, I've got another 3 or 4 kilometers left to get to this restaurant. As I could just feel them twitching, just starting to twitch. And I don't know if you've done it before or cycled that kind of length before. I mean, 50 kilometers isn't huge, but I see as soon as you stop, you're not going to be able to get the legs back going again. So I had to just keep going. I was just hoping, like, when I was hitting traffic lights, that it was green, and I managed to get there just in time, sat down, and I was so lucky. But yeah, I loved it. Just the sun in your face and just being outdoors is something that I love doing, especially when you're working in clinic and you're in the same 4 walls all the time. It's, it can get quite depressing is probably not the right word, but it can just feel a bit lonely at times. So when you have a day off and the sun's like that, and then the weekend's just been great as well. Have you managed to get out and about much yourself?
Yeah, I got out just doing the usual. But you're saying about the clinic, I spent many years working in dental surgeries with no windows or very little view out of the window. And I'm very fortunate now that I have 2 massive windows looking straight down on one of the busiest streets in Dublin. And when the weather's out like this, it's just people watching. It's just fantastic. You could sit all day in the clinic and just
Yeah.
people watch on the street. It's absolutely fantastic.
Especially in Dublin, man.
Yeah.
You'll see some sites in Dublin, definitely city centre when the sun's out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just at a corner where there's it's almost like a meeting spot. So you see a lot of tourists and stuff as well. And there's buskers on the streets. So the sun, just everybody's in much better form when the sun's out. Like it's crazy. You're like, can people just not be like this all year round?
I know.
Life would be so much easier.
I've got to admit, I do suffer from seasonal affective disorder. I mean, the winter months do grate me, they grind on me. I like the sunshine and just, I like being outdoors. I think that's the thing. I think I like being outdoors. I just find that hard when it's so cold. But then there's something also to be said about very crisp mornings, like nice, fresh, crisp morning. You breathe that in, it just feels great. Yeah, I think it definitely makes people, what would be the word? Just happier, right?
It is. It's definitely happier, more chilled. Things aren't as big an issue as it would be. The long evenings, the long sunny evenings are just fantastic at the moment.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
There's still another good month and a bit before the turn, so let's enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the weather's. We were just saying off air there that the weather's still looking really good for this week coming up too. So very, very much looking forward to a little bit more sunshine, 100%. So who needs to go to Tenerife when you've got sunny Edinburgh and sunny Dublin?
Who needs to go to Tenerife? Exactly. There's been a lot of negativity around this global warming, but there's always a plus side somewhere. And I think we're getting the plus side to it. Nice weather, a nice unexpected week-long weather of good sunshine.
I think it's the temperature. It's the temperatures as well, though. Unusually high. I mean, I know I'm saying 22, 23, but this time of year, that's not it's not normal, is it?
It's not normal. Not normal in May. Not more normal in May. Not that I remember.
No.
More around July time.
Yeah, July, August. Yeah.
There's no point complaining. We may as well just enjoy it.
We should not complain. No, exactly.
And talking about heat, we had a good conversation with Emilio, and I just remember that 1994 World Cup, some of the temperatures the players were playing in. Like, remember there's water breaks. We actually had a match on Friday night, and we had to introduce a water break. Even though it was only 30 minutes long per half, I had to introduce a water break halfway through each half just because it was so warm. But they did that as well in the soccer World Cup in 1984. The temperatures that them players had to deal with, and I suppose back then they maybe didn't have a same amount of sports science or research done than they would have had maybe heading into the Qatar World Cup, where there would have been a lot of research done heading into that World Cup about dealing and playing on them temperatures and being able to perform in them top temperatures.
Yeah, but then at the Qatar World Cup, I think the stadiums were built in such a way where they actually had like AC running through the stadium. So although they might have been playing in the temperature outside would have been whatever it is, 50 degrees 50 degrees it would have been. But actually inside the stadium, because they had built in AC, I don't think it actually affected the players that much. But I do remember watching the World Cup that you were talking about there in America and them taking water breaks. But I mean, these, regardless of how fit you are, the heat of, when you're playing in humidity, and I've played cricket in Sri Lanka in January when its humidity is 90% and it's like 35 degrees. It was stinking hot, and it's just the sweat that drips off you, and you're losing all the electrolytes and all the salts. And like you're talking about the sports science now, obviously they've got so much data now in terms of what you should be drinking and what you should be eating in nutrition. And obviously nutrition then correlates to how sports dentists then have to consider what athletes should be drinking, what they should be eating, and what they're taking on board. So it's almost like everything intertwines together when it comes to sports dentistry and athletes and how they perform when it comes talking about the heat and the humidity. So it makes sense, and then back then they would have probably just introduced water breaks because it was so hot. But with you talking nearly 30 years later, the data will be, completely different now in terms of how the players probably prepare to play in those sort of conditions.
Yeah, it was a good chat with Emilio, chatting about them different types of things, and looking forward to Washington. I think there's an opportunity there to go and watch DC United play on the Saturday evening after the conference finishes up. So it'll be good to see a little bit of major soccer league, MSL, isn't it called? The major
MLS.
soccer league. Americans always have MLS.
MLS, yeah, Major League Soccer, yeah.
Major League Soccer. Soccer. Everything has to be major.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes, has to be bigger, and major.
Bigger and major, exactly right. Yeah.
I'll talk about major. What about Crystal Palace? Like
Yes.
I said yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, I was surprised actually. I didn't watch it, but then I was out with dinner with one of my friends, and he was like, "Oh, did you see Crystal Palace won?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "And they saved the penalty as well." And I was like, "Who took the penalty?" Because if it was Haaland, I was like, I can't imagine him missing. But it wasn't him; it was Marmoush, wasn't it, that took it? But that's amazing. That's what you would. That's fairy tale stuff.
That's brilliant, and it gives people hope. It gives every team hope. It was like Leicester winning the Premier League, and now the likes of Palace winning the FA Cup. It gives them sort of teams that aren't used to winning a lot that hope that one year or this year this might be a historic occasion. Like we're saying, Crystal Palace have never won anything in sort of major cup, and that was the first time. My uncle who married my mum's sister, he's from Crystal Palace area, and he's always been a Crystal Palace fan ever since we knew him. So I'm sure he was having a great day yesterday, enjoying it. Him and my cousins, they're all Crystal Palace fans. So I'm looking forward to catching up with them to see how they've celebrated. Did you see the goalkeeper celebrating?
Yeah. Was he not giving it? Was he not giving it big licks to Pep Guardiola at the end of the game as well?
It was giving a big licks to Pep Guardiola again. Going, you got your 10 minutes because Pep was over with the stopwatch. That night at the 2, he was hanging off the balcony, and the people had to pull him back. He was in the chance. It was good. It's a good clip of it. It's going doing the rounds around the socials there. So they'll definitely enjoy themselves. They'll definitely enjoy themselves. I think they've two games this week, but they'll not really care about them.
Yeah,
2 games left in the Premier League, but
I'm
They'll
sure
enjoy
London.
themselves
I'm
this week,
sure
I'm sure.
London would have been bouncing last night. I'm sure it would have been
Yeah.
kicking off. So that's good. That's what you want to see. You want to see stories like that of teams or athletes who you've never given them a chance, just coming in and winning. You know, and I also like to see, even in tennis or in golf or kind of individual sports where you've not heard of a name, and then all of a sudden they just kind of start to filter through, and then they win something, and it's great to see because, like you say, it gives hope. And that's why athletes, they want to. They're all in it to win it. They have to believe. You have to believe. If you're an athlete, you need to believe that you're the best and that you're going to win something. But when you see other people around you doing it, or other teams around you doing it, then yeah, it definitely fills you with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's so many examples. I was even listening this week to the youngest British and Irish Lion, Henry
Yeah,
Pollop.
yeah,
And he's had, I think has he had one start for England, but he's been playing so well. He had a very successful under-20s career playing for England, and he's only really broke into the senior team this year, and now he's a Lion. So
yeah.
like when
I
you
know.
hear stories like that, I'm sure it gives other people great hope, and particularly players that have been playing with him coming through. They kind of say, well, if he can do it, I can do it, and gives them confidence and that sort of hope. So them sort of stories are fantastic. It's been a great week for stories like that.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that form's so important at a crucial time. He's obviously a very, very good player, but his form has been so good in the run up to the Lions selection that you can't not take him.
Yeah. And
And then
you'd
at the same,
expect by the time the Lions come around, he's going to be better because he just seems to be getting better and better
yeah, yeah,
throughout this year.
yeah. But then at the same time, they've picked players who have been injured, who didn't play a part in majority of the Six Nations because they have played so well in the past. So it looks like a good mix of youth and experience, and there's something to be said for that as well, because you need to be able to make some brave decisions, don't you? If you're a manager and if you're a coach, you need to be able to make these difficult choices about who you're going to select. And there'll be people there, certainly one name in particular, Darcy Graham, absolutely gutted that he's not in the squad, but then he scored a hat trick against your boys on Friday night there. But there's still a long way to go before they get to Australia, and then there's obviously the games in Australia, and there's always opportunities. I think they said that when they announced the team to the actual first test, there's usually at least 9 changes in
As many as nine,
on average.
I think this time they've held back two spots as well, where they
That's
haven't
right. Yeah, yeah,
named them. So they've two spots. There's still two players to pick, and then they do say, I didn't realize it was as much as nine, but they do say there is history has shown that there is players that have got picked at this stage, but maybe get injured on the run up to the Lions when they're finishing off their club season. So yeah, there's definitely some opportunities there for players that haven't got their name called out yet. It's a
yeah,
strange way to get. It's a strange, like it's in this day and age. I think it's fantastic, but it just seems really strange how the players find out themselves that they're picked,
yeah.
where they don't actually know. They find out the same time as everybody else finds out when it's announced live.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's
it's
funny though, isn't it? Because it's funny because they have, like, some of the players have got, they must have an inkling because they've got like phones set up watching them and their reactions if they're at home or whatever. So imagine if you've got it set up and you're thinking, oh, I hope I get picked, you hope I get announced, and the phone just sits there and there's no reaction because your name doesn't come up. So it must be, it must be so nerve wracking, obviously, to be, if you're hearing your name getting bounced around thinking, yeah, you might not, you might not. But as for us being in the UK, it's just it's such an exciting series to look forward to. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think Australia are going to really, they've not been playing amazing the last few years, but this is different gravy though. I suppose after a World Cup, it is the next best thing, really.
yeah, I know it's good, and I think if my memory serves me right, they weren't playing that great the last time they were involved in the Lions series, and they were only a kick of a ball away from actually winning the series. I think back then, I think Craig
Yeah,
Cooper was playing. He put on
yeah,
a master class in one of the tests, and running into it, they thought that it was going to be very straightforward series for the Lions, and Australia almost won it by a kick of a ball in the first
yeah.
2 games. So
Well,
yeah, I wouldn't definitely underestimate the Aussies.
no, I was in Australia last time when the Lions 2 was on, so I watched them play in Perth, and Oh, it was just brilliant because there's loads of expat there as well. So it was actually a really, really good crowd. I would say half and half, kind of 50% Aussies, 50% Lions, because people make a trip of it as well. You know, people save up money to
Yeah.
go. I've got friends of mine who he's rugby daft and he goes to World Cups with his wife and kids and stuff. I think he's going to Australia as well. So, I mean, it is amazing to be part of, especially when you're supporting a group of nations and not just your own. So
Yeah.
normally you support a Euro nation, but actually then then you start be cheering like I would be cheering on Maro Tuju. It seems a bit weird for me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, you really got to get behind them. Talking about going overseas, we're going to tick off another continent off our speakers list.
Yes, we're going to kick off another continent on about possibly almost about a quarter of the world population. Would that be right?
Yeah,
Because because this is going to be a really interesting conversation with how do you provide sports dentistry support to almost 1.5 billion people.
sounds pretty easy to me.
we have our challenges with is it 70 million or whatever in the UK and stuff, but 1.5 billion people, that's a different gravy altogether.
The numbers there are just frightening, isn't it? That amount of people, that is a ridiculous amount of people.
So how do you get your message? How do you get that sports dentistry network set up and the message down to the athletes and to the dentists that are providing support to these athletes? Like, so it's going to be a really interesting conversation with one of the leaders in sports dentistry in Asia, and India itself is working very closely with the Indian Dental Association and has set up the Sports Dentistry Association, the Indian Sports Dentistry Association, and that's Dr. Reena Kumar, and we're really looking forward to hearing her story. This is another guest where there's just that whether you're meeting her at the opportunity to meet her last year at the IASD, and also pleasure of meeting her when she was over in London last year. And even if you're meeting her from one to one or in a group, she just oozes that passion that she has for sports dentistry. She's just another one of these guests that you can just see why they've been so successful. Wants to start talking and telling their story, and you can just get that passion just coming off them straight away.
Yeah, because we'd obviously talked about kind of guests coming up, and you'd said to me, he's like, this is going to be a really good conversation because she's got a really good story to tell, and she's a good storyteller, you'd said, and you said, we won't have to speak that much because she likes to talk to you or tell you about what she's done in a kind of storytelling manner. And I love that. I love people who are able to tell good stories about what's happened to them and what they're doing. So I was really looking forward to this conversation. And like you said there, she's been an integral part of getting the sports dentistry message across not just India but in Asia. And you've had the pleasure of meeting her. So yeah, I was buzzing when she said she'd love to come on, and yeah, very much looking forward to hearing her story.
So let's go. Hey everyone, save the date. The UK Sports Dentistry Association's second conference is happening on Friday the 12th of September at the Voco Hotel in Manchester. And guess what? It's not just about teeth. We're combining cutting-edge sports dentistry talks with the thrill of live sport. Right after the conference, we're heading to Emirates Old Trafford for the England vs South Africa T20 International. Expect a day packed with expert speakers, athlete Q&A sessions, and plenty of time for networking with dentists, sports pros, and athletes alike. Whether you're in dentistry or passionate about sport, this is a day you won't want to miss. Tickets are live now at sportsdentistryuk.com. Grab yours and join us for an unforgettable day. So I'm delighted to welcome on the podcast this week Dr. Reena Kumar from India. Welcome, Reena.
Thank you, John. This is such an amazing feeling for me to be here with you guys. And, first of all, to be with sports dentists itself is a high. It's a real high. But I think to be with you, John, and to be with Umair and get to know Umair, who I've been only hearing, and it's really nice. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you very much.
That's great. And we're really looking forward to having this conversation, particularly what we've noticed in recent years, that there's been such an explosion of sports dentistry in India, and that's partly due to yourself and the Indian Association for Sports Dentistry. So it's going to be great to hear your story and how's that developed. So I'm fortunate enough to have met you and I know a little bit of your story, but for the listeners that haven't heard of you or what's happening in India, give us a little bit of a background and into your own personal journey and then how everything's developed.
So when it comes to me, basically I will say that I was born into an Air Force officer's family, married into an Air Force officer. So you see, adaptability, resilience, and innate ability to connect became a very important thing, because when you're moving every 2 years from place to place, it isn't one of those things where everybody's waiting to be friends with you. It is you who has to take that step forward to actually get to know people. So all my childhood, I've been moving places, because with my dad, and then, of course, when we got married, it was a different idea completely. So very conscious of challenges, very conscious of different population groups, because I moved throughout India. And of course, very deep sense of responsibility. And very importantly, it was the fact that I would have to kind of always go out of myself if I really wanted to be in the place, was something which I learned very early. Like moving out of the comfort zone was something which came very early. And that was essentially because probably of this various moves which I had to make all through my growing years. And that became it. So I did my graduation. Wanted to be a doctor, obviously, because my dad's a dermatologist. But I ended up doing my BDS, no regrets whatsoever, from the Government Dental College. So I'm 7680, a long time ago, and Masters in Orthodontics from the same institution, 83, 85. And I had lovely mentors, great friends, and really built me up. Foundation was in orthodontics, very important part of my life, because I really learned a lot, became a teacher in that, and moved on. But very early in my life, I would say somewhere along, it was a turning point, because we're talking about sports dentistry here. So I would like to bring it into sports dentistry for the simple reason that it was in the year 2007, 8, yeah. I actually came in touch and somebody asked me, would you like to kind of, volunteer for Special Olympics? So I was like, what Special Olympics? And then when he told me that, and I said, yeah, why not? Of course. So I trained in and I became a clinical director for Special Olympics Bharat. It was a major turning point. I had never really met people with intellectual disability and with various challenges, and with the sports. So being a Bengali, I had football always in my blood, and I grew up in Assam. So we played football in school. But the thing was that being with athletes was great. And I realized that there was a lot more in it, because these children, they were my first exposure. These children were athletes and yet had so many problems because of their challenges. While as we grew with my dental school, because I was the dean of the dental school, so I brought in programs which was like the Unified Games. The Unified Games now came in the athletes from the schools and the colleges. So these were students in the schools, colleges who were actually playing games, and they came in to play with our athletes, with our special athletes. And when this happened, I looked into the mouths, because we were doing screenings. So we looked into the mouths of the students who were coming in as athletes also, because it was unified. And I realized, oh my God, these people who are so-called playing and in good schools, but yet the oral health seems to be quite an issue. And that's where my sensitization, I will say, happened with athletes and all of that. But besides that, at the same time, of course, my entire career has been quite a few things of innovation, where I got into dental sleep medicine. That was again something which happened to be in 2007. It was a great year for me, opening doors in 2 different areas. So sports dentistry came in 2000. I've been kind of following it up. And then when I learned about in the FDI, and I would go to the Dental Council of India taking modules, I would keep taking small modules to them and say, let's incorporate this into the BDS curriculum. And they would say, no, this is really tight, because we really can't incorporate anything into the curriculum, because it's a really jam-packed curriculum. So the next best thing was, of course, Indian Dental Association. So we were opening up in my school the first ever student branch of the IDA, because I thought we should be doing something like that. And I mentioned it to the Secretary General, Dr. Doble. And he said, okay, great, I'm coming into your school, let's inaugurate it. So we were inaugurated. On the way, I told him, let's do sports dentistry. He said, what's that? So I said, that's a great idea. Let's look at it and let's look at the website and da. And he said, all right, let's think about it. So 2018 end, he gave me a call. He said, I have this young boy here. And do you think you want to really start about it and talk about it? I said, yeah. So we started sports dentistry in IDA, but I wasn't really a part of it, except the part that I had kind of catalyzed it and ignited the thought in their head. But when I retired from dental school in 2020, in February 2020, that's when it was actually handed to me. When they had just done one course, which was an in-house program. And then the COVID came in. The pandemic gave us great learnings. We really didn't need to move people, I think we could just move knowledge. So that was the biggest learning that I got there from the COVID. And I had an opportunity to work with to develop a platform. I worked with an edtech company where I could work with them, and I helped them to develop, give them insights into how a teaching learning platform would be. So I knew exactly how we could kind of utilize this great facility and take in sports dentistry to a different level. So 2024, and of course that's history after that, you all know it. So that's when we started out the second batch. It was very good. So we had 27 people who came in, and this sports dentistry course it's been a robust course. It's been great. So tell me what else you want to know. Others, I'm the one who's going on talking. Let me pause.
Yeah. Well, that's a great background. I'd like to maybe ask you a few questions about the Special Olympics. I've had the pleasure of working at Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games and European Olympics, and even worked at Islamic Solidarity Games. But I've never had the pleasure of working at a Special Olympics. At the other games that I worked at, the sort of support that would have been provided would have been a dental clinic at the athletes' village, and also a field of play dentist at sports where there's a high risk of oral facial trauma. What sort of support would have been provided at the Special Olympics?
Mine is a totally different story. Okay, my story goes like this. So I'm a rebel. I don't like doing things the regular way. So when the first time I went for a screening program, they had a camp, they had a national camp of some kind, and there were about 18 states, athletes, a large number of them. So we were a group of volunteers, and I was leading that as the clinical director, and we did the screening. And after the screening, I said, okay, so these are the athletes who are from, the Uttar Pradesh is the state where my institution is. And let's just send these guys in, and I will kind of look at other institutions, and I'll make sure that we are going to be sending these athletes out. So my program director said, it's not required. It's not required. It's fine. You've done the screenings and that's all. I said, excuse me? So I said, excuse me, what does that mean? He says, no, that's all that we need to do. We need the data. We're going to send the data out. I said, I'm not a data person like that. We need to kind of give what we have to give to the athletes. And I have the ability. I'm going to take them on in my school. And it's free of cost. It's free of charge. So I take it on. Of course, this went on, back and forth. And then I said, I'm not coming for any more screenings. So goodbye. So they said, no, you have to come in. How can it not happen? You have to come in. And finally, it took us about 6 months. And I had the first center of excellence in my dental school, a special care clinic set up in my school. And every week we had a bus full of 5 athletes who would come, a bus or a truck, or a taxi or whatever would come. 5 special athletes would come into the school and they would get treated by our students. The name of our clinic, I have to tell you this. So we had set up the clinic and I didn't know what was the name going to be. And it was my birthday on the 12th of August. And there were people coming into my office kind of trying to wish me. And I saw this one lady, she was the warden of our ladies' hostel. So she was trying to enter the door. And I said, yeah, please come in and all that. And I said, somebody's there behind you. Who's that behind you? She said, my daughter. I said, bring her in front. And she was a Downs, trisomy 21. Her name is Sunidhi. She's still in the school. And so that was Sunidhi is a center of excellence. So that became our schools. That's what happened. And then after that, we created something which is very unique because my entire school was a inclusive school. And we were the first people who received the champion school. So we got the champion school from Dr. Timothy Shriver. So he gave us that award. And every year we would treat these institutions. So everything in our school was inclusive, So we created a new program which was never heard of earlier. And that program was called Unified Stay. So they had unified games. So because our school was a little away from main town, So when the athletes came, and that day we had a lot of rains in our state, in our city there in Modinagar. So we said, we're just going to have the athletes who stay here. And all our students came forward, undergraduates, graduates, all of them, and said, ma'am, we want to keep them in our room. So we had one athlete and one student staying together 2 nights. So this was called Unified Stay. So this was for the first time it started out. So for me, like Special Olympics is something which is deep down and deep within for me. And I've been a part of ASD because of Special Olympics, because Steve told me about it. And that's how right from the very beginning I've been with ASD. And then the COVID came along, and of course I couldn't, keep up that because of various reasons. And that was it. So the Special Olympics thing has been a growth factor in the institution. We created a band of students, healthcare professionals who were completely sensitized. My faculty was sensitized. My class 4 staff was sensitized. Everybody was sensitized, because when the athletes came, in the initial times, for the first 1 week when they came in, we would see, we had a staircase which goes up, it's a kind of grand staircase in the center. And we would see the students coming, especially the first and second year students. And suddenly the students would move to the other side, and the athletes are coming up from one side. And I saw this, so I didn't know how I was going to bring that unification in. So in Sunidhi, what I did was I made a play area. So when the athletes were waiting, I got the second and third year students to come in there, and then they would start playing with them. It was just about interaction. The first time you meet an athlete, and that's it. I think they've won your heart, because it's unconditional love. And I don't think anybody gives that and gets that so easily even from your own kith and kin, but you get from your special athletes. So
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Just when you were doing the screenings and things like that, from an oral health perspective with the special athletes, did you notice any trends?
yes.
Or was there any differences compared to other athletes?
So these athletes, you'll be surprised, most of them came from homes, and most of them homes where caregivers, and a large number of them had came from parents that were living in their own homes, own residences. So what I found basically was a lot of them were grinding. So especially power lifters. So I gave them mouth guards. I got the mouth guards done from our school itself. But the problem was compliance. The oral hygiene was pretty good. A lot of it was mouth breathing associated stuff, because we had the two sectors, the sector which had the trisomy, that was a large number, very friendly lot, very nice lot. But theirs was a difference because of the open mouth and the tongue, and then the little slight class 3 tendencies and all of that. But basically a lot of gingivitis and periodontal health. Oral health was fairly good. When I compare now our athletes, and I think, well, caries, if you're looking at the school, it's more or less similar, because yes, the caries is high, but what was the problem there was the follow-up. So that follow-up is what we created in India through the Indian Dental Association. That's the story I want to tell you, because 319 dental schools. So I took it to the Dental Council of India, and the president said, write a letter. So I wrote a letter for it. This was on the 3rd of March, 2015. And on the 10th of March, 2015, we had a dictum which said a letter went to each and every dental principal of a dental college, which was 310 at that time. Today we have 319. That there's a letter from so-and-so, who's the regional clinical. By the time I was the regional clinical advisor for Special Olympics at Asia Pacific. So she's requesting for so-and-so. So if any of the athletes come with their I-card, they should be given free of cost basic dental care in every dental school. So that exists even now. So it is, and all the dental clinics of 75,000 members opens up for 2 weeks during the Eunice Kennedy Shriver, and they get free treatment of any kind in any of the clinics. So it's been a very inclusive healthcare program. It's an amazing one, which has been, and of course, I've been very fortunate to attend many of the World Games and been there.
Yeah, Reena, that's a really heartwarming story about how you came out with the name for your institute, and already we can hear the passion in your voice when it comes to dealing with these athletes. A couple of things I just want to touch on there. You talked about the state of Uttar Pradesh is where you work. So for the people listening out there, which area of India is that? India, obviously, we know is a massive, massive country. So what's the name of the city? You said we are just outside the main city. So can you just let us know where that is? And then what sort of athletes were you seeing? Yes, we're talking about special care or special athletes. What sort of athletes were you seeing? You talked about powerlifting there. Can you just give us a brief insight into what sort of sport athletes that you were seeing?
So my school is located in Modi Nagar. It was called Divyajyoti College of Dental Science and Research. It is known as DJ College of Dental Science and Research. So basically in the city of, it's in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is in the northern part of India, and it is in Ghaziabad located. So this is like, it's a little away from Delhi. It's about 65 kilometers away from Delhi, New Delhi. So you have to travel. I would travel an hour and a half every day on the way to college and the way back from college, just like that. And so that's where it is. So now we saw all kinds of athletes, all sports, because I was involved at the national level. So every sport, everything, and all athletes of all kinds, all ages, and all games. But my Special Olympics is one thing, one part of it. But the other part of it is sports dentistry. Sports dentistry per se from the Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry started out in the 2024. In 2020, I took over the academy, revamped the academy up, did the curriculum, really started the orientation courses, and the orientation courses went out to sensitize a large number of students and practicing dental surgeons. In the time that we were in the global pandemic, a year and a half, we really touched base with, I think, nearly about 4 to 5,000 students and practitioners who really came to hear what was special, what was sports dentistry, because it wasn't really known and people didn't understand it. So, and that's when we started out with the curriculum, and the curriculum started. So we started teaching this, and we realized that we really needed to go down into to meet the athletes. So on the 1st of May, 27th of May, 2024 was history. Like, we are 105 years of dentistry, modern dentistry in India. But that was the first time sports dentists were there on field in the stadium alongside the medical guys. And we actually gave fitness to certify with the UDS, the Universal Dental Exam Form, which we adopted, and we took it in there, which was a hard copy we used. And that was the first time actually on ground that we were there. And it was, I think it's a moment that we don't forget. All the students who were there, all the athletes who were there. And it was the national championship of kickboxing, so WACO India. So we had signed up for with their federation, and we worked with them for their championships year after year. This year in January also, we were there at the National Stadium with them. And it's an amazing growth. Ask me and I'll tell you things.
Right. It's great how you've been able to develop that and develop a program for other dentists in India to be able to get involved with sports dentistry. Is there areas of sports dentistry that are more focused on India? So in the past, sports dentistry probably came from the prevention and treatment of oral trauma. But now we've seen, particularly over the last couple of decades, how the oral health of the athlete, there's a lot of emphasis on it, and how poor oral health can lead to an impact on athletic performance. And then there's the area of the oral function and using performance mouth guards and performance splints and sleep appliances and things like that. Is there areas that you notice in India that there's more of a focus on? Like in India, the sports are maybe not as massively contact heavy as some of the sports that we would have in the UK. Do you find that there's less focus on oral trauma and a little bit more focus on oral health?
So you see, as we moved into sports dentistry in 2024, effectively coming down with the program, and with the first contact with the athletes that we had in May of 2024, we realized one thing very seriously, that we really needed to create a program which is going to now sensitize, because one side we were educating our dental surgeons through whether it's a sensitization orientation or the fellowship program. But the important component was the other side of the table. We really needed to talk to physicians. We really needed to talk to the athletes, the coaches, and the most important, the officials. They really didn't know who we were. It's only because one person had a child who had some problem with the dental. He was in the president. So as a result, he had said, yeah, sports dentists, please come. But when we went there, they didn't realize what we were really doing. So the primary objectives, what we understood that the academy should really have, IASD should really have, we realized is that while we are promoting sports dentistry, we're elevating the awareness and understanding both amongst the professionals as well as the other side of the table, where we have all these sports sciences guys and of course the athletes and the coaches. We have to look into the athlete oral health, because revamping the whole role of the sports dentist, moving from trauma management and trauma prevention to actually going into preventive healthcare, where it's manage the athletes, prevent their oral diseases, diagnose, early screening, and get into that and looking into that. Education and training was very, very important, which we've been doing. We opened up sports dental centers in certain institutions, and we are looking to open them in all the institutions in the country. Well, of the 319, we're hoping that at least we'll get in 150 of them who'll buy in and probably have a sports dentistry department with a focus purely on research and innovation, because that is an aspect that we really need to worry about, because in India, the athlete's health is really not mapped. So whenever we've gone to the government, they've asked us, so what's the data like, which I didn't have a problem with the Special Olympics, because we had all the data all the while sitting from whenever and forever. But here I was at a handicap. So I really couldn't tell the dental council, who I met right early on, but I couldn't tell him the data. So I said, sir, we're working on that. We're really working on that. And we really need to work on this and try to understand what is the needs of the athletes just now. But what we understood is that all of them, I think if we gave them two proper oral prophylaxis in a year, I think major issues could be solved. And they're all very conscious of their oral health otherwise. And especially at the elite level, John and Umair, we spent in the month when we had our convocation, we spent 5 days at the Sports Authority of India, which is like the premier institution in India, set up by the government after the Asian Games to promote sports, Olympic type sports. And we found that the food over there and the athletes, the way they are looked after is just superlative. I mean, I checked what kind of brushes they are given. We checked all of that, and they are really looked after so well, and they're understood. However, all said and done, we still need to be talking to them basically about the type of mouthguard. It comes down to that. A lot of health, yes, oral hygiene issues. We had an athlete. Yeah, this is an interesting story, actually. Let me tell you this. So it was that 2024, when we first went to that stadium for the kickboxing guys. So there was a young lady, very young girl, and she had this gingival issues all related to her hormonal status, because every time she had her periods and menstrual cycle and all of that would blow up a lot. So one of our sports dentists sat her down and gave her all the oral hygiene instructions and everything. And you'll be surprised, when we were there in 2025 January in New Delhi for this India Open International Championship, this girl sought us out, and she's given a video where she says, look, I'm absolutely fine. Whatever you guys told me, I'm doing that. And because of which I have no more bleeding, no more issues. My toothbrush never comes out red, stained out of my mouth. And I really love it. And this is what she said. And there were two other guys who came and said, you told me about I should change my mouth guard and I should go to my dentist and ask for a mouth guard, proper one, that guy said, I'm really happy. I'm able to focus. So there are these nice stories, but at the end of the day, I think understanding issues with the aquatic championships, with the water polos and with the swimming people, that is where they are lost, because they could not understand what really goes on. Like we met a team, which was a national team again. And so when I asked if there are any problems with the mouth, the coach was very happy. She said, no, I think everything's fine, all good, whatever. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, okay. Do you feel any kind of sensitivity, hypersensitivity? Yeah. I just want to bite into a towel. I come out of the water and I want to bite into a towel. I want to bite into loaves of bread. I want to do that. So these areas require checks and balances. We also have the football, because we have been working with the football academies, and a lot of them complain of headaches. So we're still trying to understand, is it some kind of microconcussion or what really is all of this? Because I think we need to study a little more on that and probably work with sports sciences. So I have brought it up with sports sciences team, that whether we could kind of take this and study, and maybe speaking to the team when we meet in IASD will be good, because I think many of us are in football medicine. The Thanos is right there. So probably will give us a better idea about how this is going to be looked into and is it really quite common. So besides that, the power lifters, we were the para athletes last week, and the para athletes in the power lifters and the kabaddi, which is again a local game. I think Umair will know what it is. So where there's a lot of jostling and a lot of, kind of body contact. So they talked about injuries, the kabaddi guy, and he talked about the tooth actually getting dislodged onto somebody's scalp. And that is all the while happening because their head to mouth is so close, and they're grabbing them by the neck and all of that. So this was a very new learning for me. I really didn't know that this could happen. I did know about the break-in, fractures and all of that, but tooth getting lodged in the scalp yes, it was scary. It was scary. But
Yeah,
yeah, sorry. Yep, you're going to ask me something.
That's an interesting case study. That's interesting that you found that even though some of the sports in India aren't as maybe contact as much as like the way rugby is quite popular where we are from, and the likes of American football and things like that are popular in the States. Maybe India don't really have as much contact sports being played. Would that be true? But you're still finding the big issue is mouth guards, and that the world health is pretty good. I think one of the biggest challenges compared to us in the UK and Ireland that India might have is the population. So there's almost like 1.5 billion people in India. So how do you go about trying to provide enough sports dentists to supply that population? Or you can't be everywhere. And is there any innovations that you've used to maybe help raise awareness with athletes or anything like that might help with being able to spread the word?
Okay, thanks so much. That's a great question. So first and foremost, let me correct you a little bit. So in India, we have a lot of contacts and combat sports because everybody is into martial arts. Everybody,
Okay.
all little kids, they're all the time on the tatwa and everybody's on martial arts. So mixed martial arts, taekwondo, karate, judo, and this, what is the one we are doing? Kickboxing. Big time in India. And mixed martial arts, in fact, with all that gruesome blood and all of that, like they are in it everywhere. And it's very, very big time because even though these are not Olympic sports, but okay, kickboxing is listed sport, but they are in there. And then hockey is our main game. So there's a lot of injuries in hockey because hockey is one of the very important sport for us. Football is a very important sport. Cricket, of course, yes, semi-contact, but we know everybody knows about what really happens in there. And a lot of schools, which I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, in India today, because impetus is on, the population is like this, that they're all looking at their children going overseas and studying in different schools and different institutions. So a lot of the IB schools have come in. So when you have these IB schools, so when these schools come in the baccalaureate one, so you have the games and sports to match the international. So in India, in fact, we have a rugby team, which is a very well-known team, which is called, I think, the Black Raven, which is from Odisha. It's a state in east of India. And it's one of the most famous ones because most of them are tribal children and it's from a tribal school. So it's very well known and they are doing very well. And we have a celebrity actor come person who is actually the coach also of that team. So Mr. Rahul Bose, he's there. So in India, a lot of schools are playing these games, which are rugby and things like that have come in. So it's quite a different scenario now. And our traditional games of Kho-Kho, Kabaddi are a lot of contact, super contact. We just heard about the tooth getting stuck in the, scalp. So there are super contact sports. So it's not so, yes, we may not have ice hockey. We may not have ice hockey, which is like considered, ice hockey guys are kind of whatever they are. but in India, we have these guys also, this wrestling, Kho-Kho, and this Kabaddi. Oh God, these guys are also at it like that. They don't give up. Yeah. They don't give up. They go back, come what may. They're going back onto the mat again. Yes.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Now to the question.
Yeah. That's good to know because maybe I just didn't understand the sort of popular sports in India and things like that. But the question as well was about how are you going to be able to provide sports dentistry support to 1.5 billion people?
Exactly.
So is it you can only get so many sports dentists trained in 1 year. Is there technologies? I've seen a technology that you've used to look at oral screening that can be done automatically. Is there different technologies that you're trying to use to try to help?
All right. Thanks for the question.
Sports dentistry.
Thanks for the question. So we understand the challenges that we have because we are small in number and there are a large number of people, but we also know that we can sectorize them. So there are schools, because we have the Khelo India Games. The government our Prime Minister has a great vision, more so because we have really had the very ambitious bid for the Olympics. So sports as a thing has come up and sports health sciences has really grown. So they are looking to see what can we add new into it. So when our Honorable Minister came in for the convocation, for the graduation ceremony. She was all ears, because then she said that, this is going to open new avenues, not just for jobs, but also for healthcare. So we are looking to see whether we are going to roll from the states itself, every state individually. We're going to roll out this awareness program that we have called the Krira Danta Suraksha. So I will again say this name, Krira Danta Suraksha, for the rest of the world who's listening from everywhere. Krira in Sanskrit, so it means games, sports. Danta means teeth. Suraksha is safety. So the program that we have made is called the Krira Danta Suraksha Champions Winning Smile. So this is a program which is being rolled out in each state, each school, each federation, wherein we are training first of all, building the awareness. So we have to buy in we have to get the buy-in of the athletes, the coaches. So this program is the first initiation touch-based program. So it's a 2.5-hour workshop. There are times we have to kind of compress it down and give it in an hour and a half. We just gave it this time at the Sai Bangalore. I just did a very short compressed one when I was there at the Sai Gandhinagar with the para athletes. So it is wherever we are, whether it's with the federation, whether it's an association. So this is what it is. And we have made a request. It's a request that we have made to the government. One is to roll out the awareness program so that it goes out, and this can be done online with and in person. So we have again trained a whole lot of people who are sports dental clinics have been created. So we have got sports dental clinics. Existing practices have been uplifted to become sports dental clinic. We have given them the mobile app. So the same form that we had, the universal dental exam form, we took it after the last year May use, and we realized, oh my God, this is really, really, really quite overwhelming, and more so getting the data in together was going to be tough. So we were fortunate that we found a digital partner, Scano, and we have digitized that form. So the form has been digitized. Now, still there is a challenge that I'm facing in there, because when we are at championships, though there are 500 athletes, there were about 700 athletes in the last, but we could connect with only about 400. We still miss 300. So if we still miss 300 in examining them, we have to find a modality by which probably we need to pre-screen them before they come, is what I'm looking at now. So whether we can pre-screen them through some self-assessment forms such that they can self-assess themselves, give us a form back, and then we know, okay, these are the 5 guys who we need to pick up fast. So this is the model which I'd put into Special Olympics also, because when they were coming in for the camps, we needed to know that we haven't kept the most important guys or the guys who needed it most for the last. We needed to pull them in first. So the triaging is done at that time. So that's one of them. So one is about building this, getting a self-assessment form in, which I'm working on now. We are doing that. Number 3 is very important, very, very important, is that working with schools. So we trained our dental colleges to go to the schools, adopt schools around, and go to the schools and start talking to the schools. Because a lot of injury, if we can get in good habits there, oral health, oral hygiene, as well at the same time, very importantly, mouth guards, and get these PT teachers, physical education teachers, the coaches, whoever is there, to get them little sensitized and to get them to understand that they have a responsibility if a tooth falls off in their school. And very importantly, what has really hit the heart, or really we have had a buy-in, is 2 things. One is the avulsion training. We've trained everybody, whoever comes in within our reach, even for 5 minutes, we train them about how to manage avulsion. And even 5 minutes, that's all I require. And that's all any of the sports dentists or anybody requires. And we meet everybody one-to-one, and it's in groups that we teach them avulsion. So avulsion is something that we don't even get into a workshop. We're teaching them that. The other is the very important buy-in. The other one that we got in is that we are putting in BLS. We saw this happening at the last event. There was a knockout and the athlete was flat on the ground, and nobody tried to see whether the athlete was breathing, whether the athlete was alive, or what was really happening. Everybody had their hands up, doctor, 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 and that was all that was going on. And we were told already, oh, you guys are the dentists, you will come only when you're called, if you please. But finally, we went in there and we went to see whether he was okay or not. In the meanwhile, and that's when we realized from IASD, Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry, we have to put in this Krira Danta Suraksha, the 4th component, which we have included now for the last about 4 months now, is the basic life support treatment, which we are training and certifying them, which is coming from our Association of Oral Maxillofacial Association of India. So the association is training. So there are trainers there who come in and train them and give the certificate. which is coming from IASD as well as from AMSI, which this project is known as Sanjeevani. Sanjeevani is so I'll tell you what is Sanjeevani, by a little story. So Sanjeevani is a little herb which is supposed to be growing on the Himalayas. So when somebody is sick, there was somebody who was sick and the god was asked, we have a god called Hanuman, who's supposed to be the monkey god, and he's supposed to be, takes care of everybody's problems. So he brought in this particular, the whole mountain, and brought just for that Sanjeevani. So Sanjeevani is life-giving. So this project is called Project Sanjeevani. So we have taken Project Sanjeevani, which is a part of now Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry, all thanks to the Indian Association of Oral Maxillofacial Surgery of Surgeons of India. And this is delivered to our athletes. So this is the fourth component we have done. And I cannot tell you how happy our minister was to hear that we have incorporated this and we are giving this all free of charge. Nothing is charged from Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry. Nothing is charged. It is all completely free. And this program is also, and now we have got ambassadors, people standing actually who are talking terms and these sports centers where we have, like the one which we opened in Bangalore, in institution by the name of Rajeshwari Dental College. We opened it in November of last year. It's a 4-chair unit for sports dentistry, which is next to this Sai Bangalore. So we are looking to open sports dental centers in institutions which are going to cater to the size. So they're going to be sports dental centers which are Sai coordination. They're going to be sports dental centers which are catering to, the athletes in general. So it's a variety of sports dental centers being created and all over. So this is how we're going to reach out, John. I know it's a challenge, but I think my life is about challenges and being out of the box. I never like to be in a comfortable zone. So comfort probably is not my line of, it was not something I was blessed with. Maybe I was sent saying, you need to sit on those chairs. That's why probably I sat on the principal's chair for such a long time with all the thorns there.
I mean, that's all absolutely fascinating, Reena. I mean, in terms of what you're doing there and how you're trying to grow sports dentistry, you've touched on the pillars of sports dentistry. When we talk about screening, we talk about education, we talk about prevention, you're doing all those things. And it's absolutely amazing just how you've built it up in such a short space of time as well. And when we look forward in terms of how we can break out the box, you talked about the education minister and the sports minister helping you create this specialty of sports dentistry. I assume that's had a massive impact, and having that support behind you really has helped push sports dentistry in India kind of at exponential growth.
I see it as that, we have sensitized them. We have sensitized our ministry. We have visited our ministry many times. We have a sports sciences center in the government of India, which is called the NCCR. So we have visited, we have informed. And with these two events where we have had, because it's all the vision of our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister really has a very focused and very wide vision. And we are very clear that if we have to be ready for for our Olympics in 2036, whether we get it or not is a secondary issue. But the important thing is to be preparedness. So internal preparedness is to be coming in, and our athletes' health and overall well-being has to be taken into charge. And the very fact that they have realized that, because you see, what we really showed is also that the statistics of the Olympics. So there is this wonderful statistics where, you have the cream of society, cream of athletes who are going to another country, and they go and sit down there and get their teeth extracted, and they get their teeth filled, and they get root canal done. And I don't know why they can't get it done in their own country. So why can't they get it done? Is because we haven't told them. So I said, it's our fault. Somewhere along, we dental surgeons had to be more awake, alive, and we should have probably started this much earlier. It's all right. It's never too late. So we have all woken up now. Everybody's geared up, and let's do it. And I think we do have good support from our government, and that is the very important part. And being a national body, because Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry is not something which is, some body which is just something which is sprouted up. We are representing the national dental body, which is the Indian Dental Association. 90,000 members, 76 years old, 600 local and state branches. That is big. That is big. And I really invite each one of you to come in whenever you can, because we'd love to show you with pride our office, which is our head office in Mumbai. It's a state of art. And every day we have an OPD there, because there are a lot of young dentists who are doing clinical residency there, and they are treating all kinds, even our athletes. So it's an open invitation to any athlete that if you're in Mumbai, just walk into the head office and you get free treatment. As of now, because we haven't been able to give it to in the colleges, which I'm sure, as soon as I get the data in, I will get it. I am 100% sure I'll get it, because that's how the heart of our institutions are. We got it for our Special Olympics athletes, you see, so why will we not get it for the rest of our athletes? I'm sure we will. Because now already you see this college in Bangalore is catering to the Sai in Bangalore, and their athletes can go there. So it's their choice. If they wish to go there, they're going there and they're able to get their treatment. They have a jaw tracker, they have the EMG, they have the machines, they have everything, and they have the CBCT, they have the pain clinic, they have the digital dentistry program. They can get into anything that they wish to. So we have opened the doors. Creating access is something which I believe, knocking on every door. I'm never hesitant to knock on any door. I knock on every door, whether it opens or not, it'll open tomorrow. So I'll come back and knock again, and I will go on trying to create access for care.
Yeah, that's a great service. So the athletes, they can avail of that service for free. Is it in Mumbai?
In Mumbai, it's free. It's free. In our head office, it is free of cost. It is free of cost.
Wow.
That's really reducing the barrier. I have a couple of questions just on some of the things that you've spoke about. First of all, the educational piece where you're raising awareness of that online piece of that 2 hours, is that directed at dentists or is that directed at sports medics or sports physicians? Who is that piece directed at? And
Okay,
also, we'll answer that question and then I have a second question.
So when we did this Krida Danta Suraksha in Bangalore just now, so one of the little sections I put in is, who is it for, when I sent out the brochure. So it's for all athletes, it's for all coaches, it's for all physicians, all physiotherapists, sports nutritionists, sports sciences, anybody who has anything, love and care for your athletes in your heart, please come.
So it's for non-dentals, non-dental professionals supporting the athlete and athletes themselves.
Athletes and coaches themselves, yes.
Brilliant. Then also you were talked about the possibility of trying to do a pre-screening, the athlete maybe doing a self sort of form. What types of things are you trying to highlight there? Is it pain, discomfort? Like what would make up that pre-screening form that would highlight the high need athletes?
So the first thing would be to understand who needs us more, who hasn't got the requirements. So somebody who's in pain, somebody who's in discomfort, who's not been able to concentrate or not been able to do their practices, somebody who's using tobacco, somebody who's using excessive amount of sports drinks and these bars or whatever it is. And of course, somebody who says that he's never seen a dentist. He or she has never seen a dentist. We definitely want to see that person, because that is a criteria. Because if that person hasn't had access to a dental surgeon or has not visited one by choice, having the access, we still would like to see what is really going on there. So that's basically my criteria.
So it's quite a short one. So we're looking at pain, discomfort. We're looking at tobacco use. We're also looking at whether they've had access to a dentist or whether they attend the dentist regularly. And also their
injuries.
If they're injuries and their diet as well, sort of the highlight. Very good. And then where do you see the future? What's the plan? What's the future for sports dentistry in India? Where would you
booming?
In 5 years' time, what would the ideal situation be?
Okay, 5 years from now, we should have at least got to each and every one of the elite athletes, because going to these sports centers, I think that's it. We should be working with the major clubs. We should have touched base with at least a good percentage of school students. So the university games, Khelo India games, district games is where we want to see ourselves all the time, because that's the growing, budding athletes which is there. So we are not going to leave any athlete behind, be it from the grassroots, be it whatever's first step, all the way to the elite. That's where ISD is going to be. That's number one. Number two, we're going to sensitize each and every student in the dental school, because the new curriculum is coming in. We had given a proposal. So that old proposal of mine has come in. Along with that, we gave in a new proposal where we should have modules put inside because the new curriculum is coming in. It's just got to be, signatures to be done and all that. So there is a module on sports dentistry, and the awareness is going to be coming in there. Plus, we have taken in a large percentage of students of dental schools, because they come in and work as volunteers with us on the field. because they are our backbone on the field. We can't work without them. So our sports dentists are 10 in number, but our volunteers would be 30 in number. And they come from the dental school. So they spend 2 or 3 days with us. Sometimes they come in 2 groups. So we are touching base with about, 20 and 20 more or 30 and 30 more. So that's really good. And so we intend to sensitize we are sure we will sensitize all dental students, because through the curriculum and through our program that goes on, we have the volunteer training program, which is an online program. And with that, they get a certification and they're able to come and work with us, and the athletes, or in a sports dental center, or in a sports dental clinic, or in a dental institution, wherever they want to in their free time, and come and be with us. Number 2, we will sensitize all the buy of the coaches and the athletes, coming to understand that through the Kriyadan Suraksha program, that is a major, we feel that has been a very big win for us, because we also learned that the need was there and we developed the program. It was not that the program was there. It was in the May of last year, we realized that whatever we are speaking to them, they have never heard it before. These guys haven't heard it. So what are we talking? So we need to create some level program. We need to level ourselves down and then start talking. And after that, that's when this program really hit. And it is one of the best programs that we have. Sensitization and of the athletes, probably touch every kind of athlete. Our para Special Olympics. Let me give you another good news, which is going to happen, is that our Special Olympics has come forward and said that they are going to look at all our sports dentists to become clinical directors. So they will be on-field dentists for Special Olympics also. In fact, in the batch which just graduated, we have 6 of them who are already Special Olympics clinical directors trained by me. And they took in the program, and now the rest of them also will also become, and the subsequent batches in the course of the curriculum will train them. And from the Asia, because being the RCA, I'm the RCA for Asia Pacific. So they will do the online module, and then they will train under me. So they'll train under me and they do the screening. So that's done. We're going to get the para in. I'm going to get it good. And we're going to open access to care to 319 dental colleges for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. That sounds amazing, Reena. That's incredible what you're doing there. John and I are lucky enough to be able to kind of see the expression on your face. I know this is an audio podcast, but like just how you're coming across, it's so good to see. And you said earlier how, you're going to knock on the door, whether it opens or not, you're still going to knock on it. And I think that's really important for people if they want to try and break down barriers and to just push sports dentistry, not just in their own country, but internationally and globally. We need to take a leaf out of your book. And, I've had the pleasure of actually being to Mumbai. I went to Mumbai in 2007 or 2008. I was invited to go out there to the World Cricket Academy. So I was there for about 10 days just playing cricket and training. And what a city that is, the gateway of India, and just the people were so nice. And the fact that you've got the head office out there, you don't need to ask John and I twice. If we get invite, we're there. So
yes, you're coming. You're coming,
and we can certainly do a live podcast in Mumbai for sure. And if we can tag that on with some sort of sporting event or IPL or something, that's even more so. But we certainly want to be able to give people like yourself this platform, so people not just in India or just in Asia, but all over, they're going to be able to just hear in your voice what you're doing, and maybe they can reach out to you because they might want to set something up like you're doing in their own countries. And I think it's amazing to hear just what you've done. And we wish you all the very best. And if we can in some way help you get to the next level, I don't know what that looks like, but certainly that would be a conversation we need to have in person at your head office in Mumbai. Okay, I'm just putting out there. Okay. So that's certainly
to start with first at IASD, because that's just around the corner, and then we're going to meet in Mumbai.
Of course. Yeah. You guide us.
You know something? I'm open. IASD is open to help anybody, and Dr. Reena sitting there is super open to help anybody in the world. Anybody, because we have reached where we are only because we have had help. We have had people who have held our fingers, held our hands, warmed our hearts, been so nice to us. Here's one sitting right in front of me, John, and Stanis and Thanos, and over there we have had from the IASD. I mean, I cannot begin to say thank you to everybody. It's thank you is a very small word for what we have received. We have received help at every stage. Any time I reached out, at any point of time, I think today, wherever we are, it's because we are a global group with the same passion in our heart and the fire in each one of us, and which is for the love and care for our athletes. And well, that's it. I think life cannot be without each other. And I believe a car doesn't move ahead unless all the four wheels belong to the same, whatever make and thing. So I'm sure that all of us are very well fitted and very well glued in, and we're going to take sports dentistry globally together.
You're going to Washington. You're going to the IASD conference next month.
Yes. You're coming there?
Is there? Yes, I'm coming. Is there any other conferences or events that you're looking forward to this year, or any sporting events coming up that you're looking forward to?
Looking to go to the football in Malaysia, AFC. And I'm looking to go, that's I think in July probably. And then of course, Düsseldorf, of course.
Düsseldorf,
yes. Yes, of course. And sporting events, anything is good. You see, I support my village football clubs here. I live in Goa. I live in a small village. I live in South Goa. So it's a very small village. It's like a one-horse town. And it's really beautiful. But we have a lot of football in Goa. So we have a futsal grounds here. So I do support them. And I also sometimes work with the boxing. So with the amateur boxing of Goa. Yes. So it's great.
You've mentioned quite a lot of colleagues there who have helped you get to where you are. I think it's really important that we're able to say thank you to these individuals, because we can only get to the next level when there's people around us who are willing to help us in the journey. So I just want to say thank you as well, because I really enjoyed listening to you there. And I hope that as time goes on, we're able to meet in person, and the things that you're doing in the sports dentistry field in India is really fascinating. It's really interesting, and it's exciting to see what lies ahead.
Thank you so much, Umair. That's really kind of you to acknowledge all of that, because life is all about, relationships, and it's about how you kind of build them up over the time. And I think I have been very fortunate that relationships have been great, and I have been blessed with that, be it from family and all the way up till my professional colleagues. My Indian Dental Association, so grateful to the leadership at Indian Dental Association for allowing my dream to come true, because I wanted sports dentistry way back in 2016 to be started out. And in 2018, we were able to establish Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry. And well, from 2020 actually is when we, despite the pandemic, the global pandemic, we were still able to run a large number of sensitization programs and so many things. And then, of course, for 2024 started the fellowship program, the second batch. And it's been history with, we are so grateful for European Association for Sports Dentistry to be by our side, for the Academy of Sports Dentistry to hold our hand through all of this journey, and to help us start, the Sports Dentistry Fellowship, not at ground zero, but definitely base camp and above. So the climb became much easier, and I think we are much at global standards. Happy to say that. And very importantly, it is that our world is so small and so beautiful that there are so many sports dentists around the world and we are all willing to help each other and to give a helping hand, because, each one of us may have some strengths and we can borrow and grow from theirs. And that's what is important, growing together, learning from each other, not trying to invent a wheel all the time, and taking this ahead. So, Mayor, it's been great fun being with you and John today, and it's really been great.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Now, if there's somebody in Asia or India specifically who wants to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So the Indian Academy of Sports Dentistry, we do have our email IDs, and I would like to share that also with us. And of course, my personal email ID is very much available all the time. And the Indian Dental Association is one organization where we are always listed up there. So that would be a great way to reach out. So what we really want people all over in India to come forward to is, of course, there are different tiers, where we would request them. So there is a certain percentage who want to do sports dentistry as a fellowship and take it on as a career at the next level and really want to move ahead. So that group is definitely a niche group. So those are the people who would like to educate, take them along, help in that transformational journey, take them ahead and help them to set up their sports dental centers as elite centers. There are the dental colleges, the dental institutions where we would like to join hands with. And with these institutions comes the next level again, where they're going to be research centers and centers of innovation. We've already set up 3 of them in the country now, and we hope to set up 1 in every state. So they are called the Centers of Excellence. So they reach out to us. Then we have the next level where probably they would like to work with the athletes, not really engage into sports dentistry. So they like to work with the athletes. So we have a whole bunch of people who are actually students to all the way to even dental technicians, to dental hygienists coming into dental surgeons who are practicing, who would like to just be with us. So they have been trained to do the PCDA. So they know how to handle the app, the Oral Fit AI Smiles app. They are able to use the UDMS form and they're able to collect the data, work on the athletes, talk to the athletes about oral health and about, the importance of custom mouth guards, the importance of learning BLS and be trained in the basic life support so they can save each other in those golden seconds which are available. So all of this really is a whole lot of people who are coming together and the sector is becoming nice and strong. Very importantly, all the coaches and the athletes who we have met over the year and a half, 2 years of our journey together now, they reach out to us and many of them come back, talk to us, and they want to come in for consultations. The Indian Dental Association headquarters in Mumbai, where we have a great number of chairs, at least about 25 plus chairs, which are there actively working every day. And they are free to come in and have their treatment done, while our sports dental centers, which we have created, so their PCDA is on, pre-competition dental assessment is on. Kriradan Suraksha is something I wish to talk about again, because as I'm closing this, this meeting, I'd like to leave a few thoughts behind, because at the end of the day, we realized it's not just important that we as dental surgeons skill up and scale up, but it's very, very critical that we need to take this knowledge across the table. And the athletes and the coaches, they are willing to learn, they are willing to hear, they are also interested to know that why didn't they hear about this earlier from somebody? So there are people who have come and checked their teeth, or they have gone and met dental surgeons, but why is it somebody didn't talk to them about this? And about the fact that, we are all very well aware of the WADA guidelines and we know what drugs to give them or not to give them and how to advise them on that. So that Kriradan Suraksha is one of the touch-based programs. It's a game changer where athletes and professionals in the sports sector are concerned, because now sports dentistry is rolling across states, across organizations, across various, like today also we were in a meeting with one of the sports association directors who's in the eastern part of the country, and we are planned up for next Wednesday that one of our sports dentists is going to run the program of Kriradan Suraksha, because there are 100 athletes of 5 disciplines. So table tennis, football, archery. We have, I think, 2 other, I cannot recall just now. But there are 5 disciplines, and there are 100 athletes. So we're going to be touching base with them. So it's just moving on, and it's really nice. It's really nice. So anybody in India, anytime anybody visiting from outside also wants to be with us, if they're in India for a holiday, vacation, whatever, there's always something on somewhere. Happy to accommodate, happy to have them in the program. And it's the same for us. When we go there somewhere, maybe when I come to you in UK, I'll be happy to spend some time. Oh, yes, John, Umair and John, I have to tell you something. There is a young man who is in UK, who's actually a postgraduate from India. And then he's been working in UK as an orthodontist. He's been one of my postgraduate students many, many years ago, many moons ago. And he's a young man now. And this gentleman he's there in UK. And he's completing his course now in the 3rd batch. And I'm sure he's going to be with you guys there.
Yeah, you can let us know his name and we'll keep an eye out for him. But your passion for sports dentistry is infectious. I think we're very lucky to have you onto this podcast, and it's been really insightful. And I just want to extend my thank you as well. I really hope that people can take a lot from this conversation that we've had, and I look forward to meeting you in person, that's for sure.
Thank you so much. I look forward to that too. I wish I could have come for the UK Sports Dental Association as well, but I'm not sure. Let's see.
Okay.
I'm there in July. If you're going to be in July, we get to see each other right in July. Otherwise, Düsseldorf, yes.
Yeah. No, I'll be here in July.
Are you going to be in ASD? Are you going to be in ASD?
I'm not going to the ASD. No, I can't make it this year, but I'll be in Düsseldorf.
Thanks so much for your time, Reena. That's fantastic. Every time I meet you, I can see where your passion for sports dentistry. It's unbelievable to hear the stories you've told. So thanks very much for your time and coming on today.
Okay, I see you in Düsseldorf, if not in UK in July. See you.
Yeah, definitely, Reena.
Thank you. With you and John. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Reena. Thank you. We are delighted to have Ionate as a sponsor for the Sports Dentistry podcast. Are you looking for a water bottle that's built to keep up with your active lifestyle? Look no further than Ionate, the totally leak-proof water bottles with triple lock technology to prevent spills no matter where you're headed. With a simple one-touch opening mechanism, you can sip on the go without hassle. Plus, Ionate's sleek, modern designs are not only functional but can be personalized just for you. Made from high-quality steel, these bottles are easy to clean and best of all, they're sustainable. From 320 mils to 1200 mils, Ionate has the perfect size for you, whether you're just out for a jog or going on a long hike. And it doesn't stop at water bottles. Ionate also has travel mugs and flasks to keep your drinks just right wherever you are. Ionate is the official water bottle supplier to the British and Irish Lions on their tour to Australia this summer, and are the official water bottle supplier to the NFL, so you know you're getting the best. I have been using their bottles for a long time now and cannot recommend them highly enough. So head over to www.ionate.co.uk to get your hands on the best bottles in the business, bar none. Now back to the pod.
Well, that was a really interesting conversation, Umar.
Talk about passion. Wow. That sums it up, right? That was full of enthusiasm, full of passion, full of what's coming next. You know, that is going to be something that interesting to see how that is going to develop in India and what she has managed to do so far and what her vision is for the future. That was mind blowing.
Yeah, I love the amount of work that she's done with Special Olympic athletes as well. Because here we've had a lot of guests that are on and we're all talking about the elite athletes, and sometimes you think that we aren't giving power athletes, a lot as much our time and as much attention, but Special Olympic athletes as well. The amount of you can see how it fills her with pride when she talks about the work that she's done to develop the programs she's set up there as well. And from if you look for research that's done in oral health and athletes, some of the work that she's been involved in and others in the special smiles and the Special Olympic athlete stuff is amazing. The amount of work they've been able to do there. And that was really interesting. How you can see just how much she's so proud of what she's been able to do in that space.
Yeah, we've obviously not touched much on Special Olympics or para athletes, and there will be episodes where we'll dedicate several podcasts and several episodes to these special players and athletes. But the fact that she has basically single-handedly engaged a variety of different athletes from all sorts of backgrounds. Now, we obviously talked about the sheer size of India and how many people there are. So she must be seeing tens of thousands of athletes a year from what she describes and how they go about it and all the facilities and all the dental hospitals and all this kind of specialist sports dentistry schools that is being created. I just can't get my head around the numbers. Like, she must be. I mean, I see a lot of athletes. I see a lot of patients, but I think that must just be on a different level.
Yeah, it's just, numbers wise, it just blows us out of the water. Just sheer volume of it, and it was really good to be cracked about the different types of sports in India. Because from the outside, you think it was almost just cricket, just cricket.
Yeah.
Well, I know their amateur boxers are pretty good as well. The amateur boxers always go well at the Commonwealth Games, but to be renowned really for just their passion about cricket. So it was interesting to hear just how much combat sports and the different types of martial arts and different combat sports type of sports that they have out there as well, which is interesting. Would bring us back to the importance of mouth guards and oral facial trauma support and prevention.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's quite naive to think that cricket is a religion. It's not a sport there. It's a religion there. Yeah. And then she was obviously talking about kabaddi and other forms of mixed martial arts. And she's seen soccer was quite big there as well. But we've had some real leaders in the sports dentistry industry on the podcast already. And it's great to see that there's a mix between male and female. I know I don't know if that's the right thing to say in this day and age. I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. But you know, it's male and female. It just goes to show you that there's so many different people doing so many amazing things, and they've all got a different story to tell on how they've got to that position as well. And it's we've covered the UK, we've covered South America, we've covered North America and Asia, and we're hopefully going to venture out a little bit more too. But there still is that common theme about being in the right place at the right time, putting yourself out there. We keep talking about it. We keep talking about it. We keep talking about it. It keeps resurfacing.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. You just gotta, yeah, just go forward. And the other thing is that a lot of them are working with different sports. And I've said it before in a previous podcast. Like try to stick to sport that you're passionate about, because you'll find that so much easier to give your time up to. It's easier to have conversations with athletes as well, because if that's a sport, if they're doing a sport that you're passionate about, it's a very easy conversation because you're both passionate about the same thing, you're both passionate about the same sport, and it makes it a lot easier to build that relationship. So it's interesting, like we've had two on from North America, and they're both very different sports. One's very heavily involved in ice hockey, one's very heavily involved in soccer. And even when we've moved around, we've seen how many different sports people have got involved in. So that's great as well, that there is that representation. It's not just solely down to the high risk of facial trauma sports, which in the UK that's opened up the doors for us a lot more with the likes of rugby and things like that for the sports dentists to get in. But it's good to see that other sports that maybe aren't as high risk for facial trauma are a lot more open to sports dentistry, and there's a lot of good work being done in them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And she said that in Mumbai, they've got the high performance center where any athlete can go in at any time and they'll get treated free of charge. And she says that was all kind of, this is the state of the art clinic. Reading between the lines, I think she kind of invited us out there. So I'm going to take that on board. We'll be like, well, we will come over, and it's the T20 World Cup next year. So hopefully we can maybe tie it in. So Reena, if you're listening, we're waiting for the official invite to come through. So we're available in February, March next year during the T20 World Cup, just so you know. But that would be like a great facility to actually see what they have there, what it is they do, what's the patient workflow, what's the patient journey in that sort of clinic, and how they go about things, and what sort of oral diseases or pathology are they seeing, how are they treating it. It'll be something that we've not maybe seen before. That maybe there's stuff that we have seen before, and we can exchange ideas. But that would be really something to visit and have a look at. And she did say that anybody who is venturing over to India, even if they are going for a holiday, to reach out to her and her colleagues, and they'd be more than happy to show you around wherever part of India they are. They'll be able to help them out. So that was great. Unfortunately, she said she can't make it to the UK Sports Dentistry Conference in Manchester, but she will be at Dusseldorf.
She will be at Dusseldorf. Everybody seems to be heading to Dusseldorf. And we have put ourselves under pressure for a live pod.
Yeah.
We're struggling at the moment as we are with the pods. We'll put ourselves under pressure for a live pod in Dusseldorf. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. Looking forward to Dusseldorf. We'll have almost a year of the pod over us. We'll have had all these great stories, and hopefully most of the people will be there that have been on the pod. And it should be a great occasion.
Well, it sounds like almost everybody we've interviewed is going to be there so far. So, we're talking about the second conference in Manchester. I think we're absolutely delighted that we've got the lineup sorted now. The speaker lineup's nailed.
The speaker lineup is nailed, and it's exciting. It's exciting. So we've got a real good mix. We've got a couple of sports dentists that are very actively involved. Annie, one of our colleagues, who's very actively involved in hands-on supporting teams. We've got Julie Gallagher, who is, when it comes to doing research in oral health and athletic performance, is worldwide known. She did a PhD in it, and she's going to be presenting on that. We also have the pleasure of not only using sports dentists, but then our next three speakers are slightly different. We've got Imogen, who's doing the MSc in UCL. She's going to be qualifying this year, but she's a sports dental
therapist.
Technician. She's not therapist. Always mix that up. This pronunciation. Whenever the T gets there, it's just doesn't roll off the tongue as quickly. But she's a therapist, so that's really interesting as well. And she's from a background. We're talking about different sports. She's from a background of performing arts.
Yeah.
So and she's heavily involved with ballet and performing arts, which is another type of athlete,
Yep.
group that we haven't really looked at. So that's going to be really interesting to hear. And then we'll have the pleasure of having some non-dental professionals with us as well. We've got sports nutritionist was heavily involved with being hands-on with like the Harlequins Rugby Club, the English Institute of Sport, but now has set up a platform for athletes to use to be able to get their diet correct for performance. And a lot of Premiership teams and a lot of cycling teams and a lot of Americans, every week they're announcing a different organization or a different team that's working with them. Their nutritionists are working with them to help their athletes. So it's going to be really interesting to hear that point of view and what different athletes are taking. I think I spoke about it before in one of the other podcasts about when they're working with the cyclist, they're advising the cyclist every 20 minutes take some sort of high carbohydrate, whether it's a gel or a drink. So that's going to be interesting for us. So we're working with professional cyclists that we know that this is what they're doing whenever they're training on their performance. So how do we put strategies in place to prevent that from having a negative impact on their oral health? And then to finish off with the education, we've got the pleasure of having a sports medicine consultant, Rebecca Robinson, who's involved with Lancashire cricket to give her experience, and especially ties in well with the cricket that we're going to watch that evening, the experience with what the cricket athletes are, the professional ones, not the likes of yourself, who are the professional ones, what the challenges that they go through, to give us a bit of a idea, leading us in to the social aspect and then the sport aspect that evening. So the Manchester's really coming together, and it's going to be a really good day, especially if this weather stays around.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine if it's going to be like that? But also on top of that, we will be having question and answers with athletes as well. But obviously we can't nail that down until near the time when we know kind of schedule. So we will obviously announce the athletes that we will be doing the Q&As with. But those 5 speakers there, you know, wealth of experience, lots of different backgrounds, and it'll be very informative. And I think, you know, it's for people who are going to be coming to that, are going to be in for a cracking day, hopefully. And, you know, it's only, 4 months away, less than 4, is it 4 months? Yeah, 4 months away. So, you know, before we know it, we'll be down there, and we don't want to wish the time away, obviously, but we want to build up on it, and we'll discuss about where we're going to do it next year. Hopefully this success again just continues to grow and grow and grow. And, you know, our friends and colleagues who we've had on the podcast so far will then want to continue to support us as well and come to our conference next year, and we'll just help support each other. I think that's the priority, and that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Looking forward to it. It's just about building that network. That was the reason behind, it's one of the reasons behind this podcast, and one of the reasons why we set up the UK Sports Dentistry Association was to have a platform for everybody that has an interest, everybody with a dental background that has an interest in sports, and they don't necessarily have to help. You may not necessarily be directly involved with helping athletes, but if you're interested in sports and you're from a dental background, then it makes sense to go to a sports dentistry conference, and there's something there for everyone, whether it's the education, the networking, or just enjoying the social aspect and enjoying the international cricket. You know, there's something there for everyone, and that's what it's about. It's about providing a platform for everybody to come together and creating that network.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think the guests that we've got lined up now going forward, we're going to kind of step a little bit away from sports dentists or sports dentistry as well. Some of the names that we've been exchanging on WhatsApp, people are going to sit up and think, how did you manage to get these people onto the podcast? Because their wealth of knowledge in terms of what they specialize in, everybody should be able to relate to it, though. And it's something that we did when we set out on the podcast was to say that we want to try and involve other healthcare professionals, because we know it's always about part of a team, and we want to get their voices heard, because there'll be information that they're able to give our listeners that they can help deal with athletes who come to them with certain issues. So we do have other healthcare professionals who are going to come onto the podcast to give their take on how they look after athletes and what they do and how they perceive us as sports dentists into their role as well. So I'm really looking forward to those conversations coming up. So everybody should stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll have a good roll of. I think now we've got episode 10 out of the way. I've got your name nailed. It's
Yes.
time to maybe move on to greener pastures, and we'll look at non-dental aspects. So
Yep.
our next guest will hopefully be a little bit of a difference. It'll be a sports dentistry aspect to it, but it's going to come from a non-dental professional aspect. So we've had a few names, but we'll not scud ourselves. Do you use the word scud?
It's good. No, I've not. No.
No. Jinx. It's like jinx yourself.
Yeah, jinx.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we would say scud ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, not scud ourselves, but until we actually have them on.
Yeah.
Until these names that are actually exciting us are actually on and recorded. We'll not scud ourselves. But we have some very interesting guests hopefully lined up.
Yeah.
So it's going from strength to strength, and hopefully by the time Dusseldorf comes, we'll be all set for a live one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few months and the people that we've got on, and thanks to everybody who's reached out and said very kind words. Obviously, if there's something that they feel that we can improve on or we can be better, please let us know. We have thick skin, so I can take it on the chin. And the pronunciation is improving. John has managed to go almost this whole episode saying my name correctly, and it's episode 10.
Yes.
So from now on, we're doing well.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling.
That's it.
That's us for another session, another episode. It's almost like a therapy session. I'm calling it a therapy session these days.
It's very nice. I can sit and chat to you all day, John. You know that.
Great. Right. That's us.
Okay.
I'll chat to you again.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
See you.